conspiracy wildlife rescue that the birds don't actually exist.
Hold on, Mike. We can't hear you. So, Todd, you let us know when it is time to get started.
I think it's time to get started.
What? It's time? It's already time?
It's about that time.
Oh, my God. Welcome, everybody, to Our Town Podcast Extraordinaire. And we are coming to you from beautiful downtown Renton, and it is a beautiful day today.
Yeah.
It's like 60 degrees out there, it feels like.
We're also coming to you from, where is it you're at, Mike?
Winston, Oregon.
Yes, Mike is on a road trip down to L.A., and he's in Winston, Oregon, but he wanted to be here with you all. And just so everybody knows, we have another guest in Mike's chair, a returning guest, and that is my son Bailey is joining us today.
Yep.
I'm back.
He's back. And because today, Todd, is the
conspiracy episode, man. We're going to be talking about UFOs, aliens, cryptids.
It's our...
Wait, say that again?
You say that again.
Oh, no, the GPS was yelling at us.
No. Yeah, see, it's a conspiracy already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But this is our big tinfoil hat party, and it can't be a party unless we have party favors. So I did bring you guys some party favors, because as we talk about this...
Wow.
Conspiracies.
These are fancy.
We got to make sure that we protect ourselves.
Yeah, these are all personal Faraday cages, you know.
Yes. No EMI.
No EMF.
On a literal tinfoil hat?
Yeah. You missed it, Mike.
Wait till you see the video. These are great, because these are going to protect us, because I know that as we talk about some of this stuff that, the government's going to try to shut us down with brainwaves.
Our internet is going to go kaput, and, an EMF is going to go off in the building.
Yeah.
And kill all the devices in here.
But we won't stop, man. We won't stop. And, Todd and I were talking a little bit ago that we're probably only going to hit the tip of the iceberg that basically sunk the Titanic. But that the Titanic was actually an inside job. They purposely sunk the Titanic because there was a bunch of rich people on there, and they wanted to avoid having the Federal Reserve Bank started.
I thought it was because they're trying to prevent immigrants from Ireland to coming to America.
I don't think just sinking one ship would have done that, unless you're talking about like fear of people are like, oh my God, you'll die in a shipwreck or something. But
it's an interesting fact, though. My grandmother's aunt was supposed to be on that boat.
What?
That's so crazy.
My grandmother's aunt was supposed to be on that boat, and she missed the boat. And Grandma's forever saying, yeah, she got lucky as she missed the boat. She was mad that she missed the boat until she heard the boat sink.
Yeah, and then she was one of the better ones. But anyway, hey guys, how's it going? It's another beautiful day in Renton, as we mentioned. We're coming to you live.
I'm wearing shorts today, Charles.
It's so nice out that Todd is in shorts. But we are coming to you from the historic Renton Civic Theater.
Do we have to wear these the whole time?
I would highly suggest it.
Okay.
But, I mean, you don't have to.
Do they protect against fluoride?
Chemtrails? I don't know.
Well, I saw a couple in the last couple of days as far as chemtrails go.
Chemtrails?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Well, yeah.
Todd's in danger.
I hold my tongue out so that when the aluminum flake comes down, I can taste it.
Is that like putting your tongue on a 9-volt battery?
It's like catching snowflakes.
Well, who wants to kick us off with their favorite conspiracy theory? Should we have our guest go first?
I think we should let Bailey go first. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your?
Do it.
I think the one that I've been following a lot lately is a little bit more contemporary.
Okay.
One of the conspiracy theories that I've been following is the Great Reset conspiracy.
Oh, I'm maybe not familiar with this one.
So the World Economic Forum put out this agenda. the World Economic Forum put out this agenda basically to like establish like a new like economic policy that like intertwines like globalism with
so it's not like the reset from the Matrix movies.
Yeah, think of it more like it's like the New World Order, but like those conspiracy theories, like New World Order and that sort of thing. Yeah. But it's like the World Economic Forum is basically trying to say, and what they've actually put out in actual statements is you will own nothing and be happy, and that's freaking a bunch of people out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is this thing about income disparity all around the world, right? That income is getting more and more into the hands of fewer and fewer. Wealth is, anyway.
The 1% have it all, right?
Yeah, and not leaving much for the rest of us.
Bastards.
Yeah. Interesting.
Who is the World Economic Forum? Who is it?
I think it's I'm not 100% up to date on it, but I believe the World Economic Forum is an NGO based out of Switzerland. I'd have to look it up.
All right.
You need to fact check me on that.
Like a think tank of some kind or something?
Yeah.
But they're not actual policymakers.
No, but they do have a lot of influence on policymakers.
It's the Bohemian Club.
Basically.
Yes, the Bohemian Club, which we were...
that is a weird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I'll go ahead.
I was going to say what the Bohemian Club is a retreat down in California. It's east of LA, I believe. And
I have no idea. I've heard about it
right now.
Yeah, Mike's on his way there. But supposedly it's a super secret kind of camp where only the richest and the most powerful elite people think ex-presidents.
They get together like once a year and
map out. Yeah.
They map out what's happening in the world and what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, and who's going to be president, who's not going to be president, that kind of shit.
And they burn that giant effigy.
But then they've also got that weird ritual with the Moloch or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The owls,
that's right.
Or whatever.
It's like Burning Man, but for rich people.
Right.
Burning Man without the nice boobs.
And the Mad Max gear. Or, no, maybe Tricky Dick wore some, Mad Max gear. We just don't know. Because we weren't invited.
Right. Man,
that was the one that Alex Jones broke into, right?
He did,
a couple decades ago.
Yeah. I guess they have
back when he was the good kind of crazy and not the bad kind of crazy.
Was he ever actually good?
Before he got red-pilled.
Being a muckraker is one thing, but being a rabble-rouser is another.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then before he accused frogs of being gay and stuff, right?
Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah, he's just, I don't know, because you got to sell copy, right? So it's like, people get more and more radical all the time. I remember, before there was twerking. That's how old I am. But now you got to do more crazy shit to get attention, right?
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Right.
So that's why we're doing this radical podcast right now.
That's right.
Attention.
That's right.
And money.
Part 1 of this radical podcast.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to run this, Mike, because like we said, we're only at the tip of the iceberg, so we might have to carry this on for at least another episode, maybe beyond.
Maybe we can make it the conspiracy stuff. We can make it bonus material for the normal episodes.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
I hate to interrupt, but I'm like not even 10 feet from a giant brown bear right now.
Oh. Is it a cocaine bear?
Hey, on a goose.
Mike, ask it if it shits in the woods.
I'm willing to bet. Yeah, I'm looking for you. Yeah. I mean, they haven't missed any meals. These guys.
They're not wasting away. That's funny.
Man, they're cute as can be, though. They really are.
Mike, what's your favoriteest conspiracy theory of all time?
Well, mine, because I'm a child of the 70s / 80s, is of course, as featured on Bionic Woman, $6 Million Man, Charlie's Angels, the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that one.
I forgot about Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Everybody forgot about it, which is exactly what the triangle wants you to do.
Dude, there was, back in the early 2000s, there was a really great 3-part miniseries on TV called The Triangle. Did you guys ever see that?
No.
Oh, it was great. It was about the Bermuda Triangle, and this wealthy dude, his boat like disappeared off the coast and whatnot. He hired some scientists and some investigators to find his brother and this boat, and it turns out that the Bermuda Triangle is a conspiracy by the government. They're working on this machine deep underwater that's doing like time travel. And it's causing all this shit to kind of bleed through from the past, and then vice versa.
Interesting.
That's wild.
Interesting. Yeah. Was it a fiction? Was it like a nonfiction?
It was a total fiction show. I mean, it had Lou Diamond Phillips.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No, it was fictional.
I didn't know if it was.
You can find it on Amazon, I think. But it was. I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I wanted it to continue beyond the 3 episodes, but it never did. So
nice. Yeah, you don't hear about the Bermuda Triangle that much anymore.
No. And I know stuff still happens down there. We still don't hear about it because the 24-hour news cycle or what. But my favorite idea behind it, and I heard this years ago on Coast to Coast or something, was that and occasionally this does happen, but these giant, like, methane bubbles.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's, I mean, because, on the bottom of the ocean, it's just, stuff decaying, right? Like, algae and after millions and millions and millions of years, it's a lot of fucking burping going on.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see that, but
causing boats to sink.
So really, just once or twice, I mean, if it happened often, we would notice it, right? You'd smell, the poop smell and hear the big burp or something, I would think. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think you hear a bubbling sound more than anything else.
Yeah, my theory is that Godzilla takes his vacation to Bermuda quite frequently, and on his way there, he just needs a snack.
He's a snacker. Maybe it's his intestinal discomfort that's causing the bubbles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, that's both. I like it. And as they always say, you got to follow the most logical course to reach the most logical conclusion, and obviously Godzilla.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think he sunk the Titanic too. So, Todd, what is the one that piques Todd's interest the most?
The long-standing. I mean, the one I've been interested in the longest is probably Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, crazy creature stuff, man.
Now they're all called cryptids, like Bigfoot and New Jersey Devil, and was
Mothman.
Mothman and the Ogopogo, whatever his name is.
Does Chupacabra fit in that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Southwest.
Or Thunderbirds.
The Thunderbird. That was another thing.
I swear to God, I saw one the other day. I saw a big ass black bird.
I feel like I saw a gigantic bird once too. Yeah.
To be fair, the bald eagle has a wingspan of what, like 5 feet?
Pretty massive. Yeah.
They're gigantic when they're up close, and I discovered that when I before I moved back to Renton, I was living up in North Kitsap, and my uncle's house was literally on a cliffside. So we'd see like eagles fly past the kitchen window all the time. The first time that happened when I moved there, and I'm sitting there like washing a dish, and this thing flew past the window. I was like, "What the hell was that?" And he goes, "What?" And he's like, "This fucking giant fucking thing flew past the window." And I was like, "That was probably one of the bald eagles." I was like, "Are they really that big?" Oh my God, they're huge.
Yeah, they're pretty massive. Yeah, Bigfoot. So, is it something that you would like go out into the woods to look for, or just?
It was one of those I saw. I think it was like on PBS when I was a kid, or maybe it was one of those In Search of with Leonard Nimoy type shows. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. I would love to. And the fact that the majority of the sightings of Sasquatch are in the Pacific Northwest meant that if I was out in the woods, there's likelihood I was probably going to see one.
Yeah.
So anytime we were driving, and in hindsight, it's stupid to think that I would see one on the side of the road. But as a kid, I thought it'd be so cool to just see one on the side of the road, just watching cars go by, And then of course it didn't help that my Aunt Kathleen, Marianne's mother, once told me a story of when they were living up in the mountains in eastern Washington. She had an encounter with a Sasquatch. I think today it was probably her just pulling my leg, but I don't discount the fact that I don't think that they're fake. I do believe that there's such a thing, but I don't know if necessarily what people are saying that they are. I mean, I think it's...
Were mushrooms involved in her?
No, the thing is I'm pretty sure my Aunt Kathleen didn't do anything beyond maybe alcohol. So
okay,
yeah, so it's possible she maybe when because they legitimately lived in a tent in the woods.
Wow.
For like 6 months before their house was like ready to be occupied.
Huh. Sounds like somebody else I know.
But yeah,
interesting. All right. Well, Bigfoot is there any other the cryptids that you enjoy, or mostly just a Bigfoot?
Bigfoot was like of the cryptids. That was the one that was mostly interesting because that was like the likelihood of it being seen, assuming it's real.
There's the evidence that there were, like 24 hominid species inhabiting Earth at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, the ones we know about, Homo sapien sapien, and we know about, Australopithecus and all these other kinds of,
Neanderthals,
non-human, right? Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's completely possible of all different shapes and sizes. So it is, it's not out of the realm of possibility that such a thing is managed, right?
Feel like we would
just down to a population of like 500 worldwide, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, we did talk about a couple episodes ago, those guys discovered that new lizard on the little island over there near New Zealand. Oh, yeah. There's species to be discovered, but I just feel like Bigfoot being Bigfoot would be hard to hide, right?
Well, I mean, you got to think they're probably nocturnal more than anything else. That's why we don't see them.
Yeah.
And of course, the footprint thing, people have claimed to have gotten like photos or they've taken casts of it, and then other people have come in and said, yeah, well, I made that, and here's how I did it, kind of thing. And honestly, I think there's a mixture of misinformation there as well as like real things happening.
Yeah.
I think people are just trying to...
I feel like the most plausible scientific explanation that I've ever heard was these scientists had thought about these Bigfoot sightings and these and they were also looking at Asian cryptid like the Yeti, and they had hypothesized that what people were seeing was communities of Gigantopithecus. Which were the Earth's like the largest of the great apes in history.
Yeah.
I think they stood at like 10 feet or
between 8 and 12 feet. I think that was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, they were tall.
They're massive. And there's another place down in and actually in Oregon, someplace or near Oregon, I think southern Washington. There's a place. There's lots of sightings down there too. A friend of mine went down there. He says he's seen one. Although I wonder, if he actually saw one, or maybe he did peyote or something. But either way,
black bear or something. There's a lot of explanation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it also depends on the shape of the body too. I mean, there's a definite difference between like an ape-like creature and a bear. I mean, they don't look the same at all.
They don't look the same at all.
No.
I think it's possible that they do exist and that they are nocturnal. That's why we don't see them.
5 or 6 years.
Start going out in the woods, baiting them with Tootsie Pops or something. I don't know.
It's like, have either any of you guys ever seen that? I think it was called Finding Bigfoot. There was a series. These guys were like all over the country. And most of the time they're here in the Pacific Northwest. They're going as far south as Oregon and as far north as BC and, Idaho and all that. But they would show these guys, doing calls and like doing all these different things that would, get a response. And my thought when I first saw it, I was like, what's the possibility of the person responding as someone thinking that you're the Bigfoot?
Somebody else camping in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, honey, we've made first contact. Yeah, nice. Anybody else have any favorite cryptids? Mike, what's your favorite cryptid? Is it the Bigfoot or is it another?
Oh, geez, as far as cryptids go, I've got a special spot in my heart for Nessie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Nessie's the legend's been around for
hundreds of years.
Yeah, I mean, how old is that thing? Unless it keeps reproducing, right? Or maybe Mr. Nessie.
Yeah, no, it's really neat though. And the photos, back in the 70s were just corny and great. And, and it was a simpler time. But I had a friend, or I guess an acquaintance, who was just a hardcore dude. He had been airborne, like 101st, and then he was a diver for a long time. And he would do dives to clean the lakeside intakes at dams. It was a real specialty thing, and he had like a high-pressure system to go down and blast shit away from those, so water could flow through at the rate it needed to flow through for dams, right? And one time he was down there, and he was trying to move this log, and he got all his equipment, all this stuff to move this, 16-foot fucking log out of the way, and it was a giant sturgeon.
Oh
my God.
Like an unreal-sized sturgeon. And, and that wasn't a fictional creature. That was it's just a giant fucking thing that's probably 300 years old.
Right.
And it was just hanging out.
Yeah.
So I can see where we can get the idea of a natural, phenom like that and try to turn it into a dragon or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but are sturgeon indigenous to Scotland?
No, that was in Scotland. That was in the U.S.
Yeah. I don't.
But they're pretty much everywhere on the planet. I think they're one of the freshwater.
That could explain a lot of the sightings that people are having if it's just sturgeon breaching the surface.
Yeah.
Do they do that though? Do they come to the surface?
I don't think they do.
No, almost never.
Yeah.
I bet if they got irritated or something, but no, typically no. They're like a catfish kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Ginormous. I've seen video of somebody petting a sturgeon. Just, good fishy. Don't swallow meat.
Yeah.
Fishy.
Yeah,
they get pretty darn big.
There's all sorts of crazy shit you can find in rivers and lakes.
I'm sure,
I remember watching on, I can't remember if it was Discovery Channel or History Channel, but it was basically they were looking for lake monsters.
Oh, river monsters. That's a great show.
I don't know if it was river monsters, though, because I don't think it was the same guy. But basically what they found in a lake in Minnesota was a Greenland shark that was 200 years old or something. It was just chilling out in the lake because apparently it had swam down the Hudson Bay or something from Greenland and then went down some rivers and somehow managed to get into this deep lake.
I read something today or yesterday where they said that the Mississippi River used to be 5 miles wide and that whales would swim all the way up, and they actually found whale bones all the way up into Michigan. Which, who knows? Nessie's ancestors could have followed some tributary into the lake thousands of years ago. But
so, hey, let me ask you guys this: what are your thoughts on the truthers, the 9/11 conspiracy theory guys?
Oh man,
there's a lot to unpack there.
There's a lot. That's a whole episode at least in itself.
Yeah.
All I know about 9/11 is that it didn't happen the way the 9/11 Commission says it happened. Because I watched it fucking happen with my eyes.
Yeah.
So, what happened? I don't know. It's kind of too big for me to really have a handle on that. But it stinks. The whole thing really stinks.
Do you think it was a controlled demolition?
I don't know. It sure looks that way to me, right?
I mean, that's...
in its footprint, right? It's just too much. It's beyond in the realm of belief that all of those buildings would fall, including Building 7, which is just the icing on the cake, right? It's that they would all fall exactly in their footprint, right?
Yeah.
It seems astronomically improbable.
You would think something going that fast, hitting a solid object would cause it to at least lean in one direction when it fell.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the plane body is not as strong as the steel building.
But it's still strong enough to cause the building to collapse.
Well, they say the fires, right? But I
have melted
no idea.
And melted the beams all at the same rate.
Yeah.
Down like 700 fucking feet, right? Melted them all at the same rate.
I totally feel you.
I have a documentary on my computer at home that's called Loose Change that I'm going to let you guys borrow so you can watch it. It is one of the... a lot of the stuff in this documentary has been proven to be incorrect, but it still makes you think. It makes you go, okay, I could see that. That makes
the loose change. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, the one I have is the one that's the one before the final version that was released, but it's like second edition or whatever. But and they talk about all the different things that happened during 9/11, the buildings collapsing, the plane crashes at the Pentagon and in the field and all that stuff, and these guys, and the way it's presented, it makes you think, well, maybe there's some truth behind what these guys are saying, because they don't sound like they're crackpots, you know?
Yeah, I know that the American government, the United States government, has done some fucked up shit in its history, which we can get into, but...
yeah, that could be an entire episode right there. 9/11.
Yeah,
I mean that could even.
And I mean, we're certainly not alone in that, right? Any powerful entity has done atrocities, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can, including the Boy Scouts. You know what I mean? It's like that's just the way. That's human fallibility.
Yeah,
that's why we're, some might argue we're a failed species. Nah.
No, you're absolutely right, and we're heading that direction, right? So,
but yeah, I mean, it happened, and look what the actions after 9/11 were, right? It wasn't to buckle down and become the best people we could be. You know what I mean? Let's use this as a catalyst to create real forward progress as a people and as a nation and lead the world to a better future, blah, 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 blah. No, it was to immediately attack a country that did not have anything to do with 9/11.
Yeah. We got to bomb somebody.
Right? It was obviously based on lies. It was just a military-industrial complex orgy, right? It's like, it was awful.
Yeah.
Oh, how about aliens? What do you guys think?
Aliens is interesting.
But John Hill's got something to say about aliens. Oh, no, he doesn't. John Hill says 100% aliens.
I had a
giraffe.
encounter.
I did not know that. So
Giraffes are the aliens?
Los Angeles, Mr. John Hill of Hills of Comics. We drove to Costa Mesa, California a month ago, 6 weeks. And so we were in the car for 19 and a half hours. You did not once tell me that you've had an alien encounter. You told me every fucking thing else.
But it's not an alien encounter.
All right. Okay. I reeled that in.
Yeah. Aliens is a funny story because, we hear about alien encounters and stuff, but they're always like some friggin' hillbilly that gets abducted and anally probed, right?
That's how it's always presented in the news. But yeah, I mean, there's been like credible people who've said, yeah, I believe in aliens.
Oh, yeah.
I think
John Lear, for one, right? The owner of Lear Jet.
No, I didn't know that.
Bigelow too, right? Was that Bigelow, the guy who Bigelow Aerospace or whatever?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
He was one of the owners of Skinwalker Ranch for like nearly 2 decades.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's supposed to be one of the hubs of alien activity, right?
Something, yeah.
Crop circles and
well, not crop circles, but yeah.
Going to a place called Skinwalker Ranch.
Well, I mean, the reason
not on my AAA trip recommendation.
Well, the reason why it's called that is because I guess it was the Ute, I think is what's called the natives down there.
Yeah,
they had a falling out with another native group, and there was like a curse that happened that caused people to become shapeshifters, also known as skinwalkers, and they're not nice creatures. That's skinwalkers, I guess, could be called
deceivers and cannibals. I think
back on cryptids.
I was going to say, that's along the line of the cryptids. Sure. But he owned that place, and they studied it for like 20 years, and then they sold it to another guy, which started a TV show called The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch or whatever. I've been watching that. That show is fucking cool shit. But basically what happens at that ranch is like they get like weird like signals, they have like sensors all over the place, and they have cameras up everywhere, so they could, whenever something happens, they get in their control center, they get notifications of it. And one episode I watched, they got a notification that there was something happening out in the field, and then they go out and there's just a single dead cow. No marks, nothing.
Oh, we haven't even talked about mutilations yet.
Yeah.
No, we're getting there.
Like I said, this isn't going to be a single episode thing.
Yeah. For me, aliens being real feels obvious, right? Because the universe is so vast, right?
Constantly expanding.
Constantly, and to think that we're the only species that's sort of
sentient,
well, that's intelligent in a way, not just sentient, but intelligent, that there's got to be more civilizations out there. But the government's going to come get me.
You lost your hat.
But them coming here is just a crazy thought. The vastness of time and space.
I don't think that it's impossible that there's aliens. What I doubt is a lot of the stuff we see on like on YouTube.
Yeah,
I think the vast majority of stuff we see on YouTube is absolutely not what they're saying it is. Some of my favorite videos are those ones like the guy talks like this, is like, and in this video we see an alien floating across the street, and I'm, no, that's a Mylar balloon.
Well, the other thing too is all the aliens that people purport to see are like the Greys or the reptilians or stuff like that. The life exists. The form that we're in as humans took place over millions of years of evolution, right? Maybe billions of years of evolution. To get something that looks almost similar to a human being from light years away, they would have had to have had a very similar evolution to look like us. But if you told me that there was a gassy creature living on Jupiter, it was a sentient creature, but it was made of gas or something like that, then I'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah. But somebody that looks like a big-eyed human that's got gray skin doesn't really ring to me.
It's definitely possible, and I think they found plenty of evidence of life in the universe, at least in our solar system, like on Mars, finding like single-celled and or evidence of single-celled.
There's the potential for it, right? All the basic compounds, for sure.
Exactly. But like if there was ever an encounter with an sentient, or because if an alien came and visited us, that obviously means that they're much more advanced than anything that we could comprehend at the moment. There's no way in hell, if they actually came to Earth and the government knew about it, that they'd tell us about it.
Right.
Because that would be just so civilization shattering.
It would be.
the chaos that it would cause. They would never let that. They'd never let that out.
So a couple nights ago on Stephen Colbert's show, he interviewed Steven Spielberg, and one of the questions he asked was aliens, and what Steven thought about it. And he said that he thought that it's possible that they're not necessarily coming from another planet, but another dimension or another time.
Yeah. It's like the Greys are, they're 500,000 years in the future or something.
Yeah, they're like they're watching us like we watch Buffalo,
Or they're coming back to check our prostates. They're trying. They're encouraging the 50 pluses amongst us to get those prostate checks.
So you need more fiber in your diet.
They're proctology doctors from the future. They're checking to see if each
they're doing their good work, right? It's like when Jane Goodall goes out with the chimpanzees and puts a finger in their butt.
But you could see that, though, right? If they're from the future, you could see them coming back to check on us to make sure that we're their ancestors, right?
Yeah.
So they want to push us in the right direction, so we don't
So this is why they're shoving probes up our ass, just to make sure we're going in the right direction. Just making sure we don't have ass cancer is what they're doing.
Yes, it's a very important thing.
Our distant relative doesn't currently have ass cancer, but we'll check in 6 weeks.
Nice.
See, I'm with Charles on the idea that the universe is so vast and astoundingly old that there's no way we're the only. I mean, I wouldn't say no way, because obviously anything can happen, but it seems highly probable that there's gazillions of intelligent species out there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And remember, Earth, right now is kind of at a low peak for our, bounty of life, right? We've had our, the Earth biome has been far more vast and rich than it is today, right?
Yeah.
Because humans killed off half of all living things in the last 50 years.
Right.
So I could see they were here to harvest whatever or do whatever, but I also think that any species that can travel, from solar system to solar system or galaxy to galaxy, they don't need to fucking mine for shit. They don't need slaves and mines and all that dog shit. They just make whatever they want, right? They start with hydrogen and make whatever the fuck they want. It's like a Star Trek.
Yeah. It's like Earl Grey hot.
Yeah. Including the mud.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So,
but then, humans would just throw all that shit out into space and litter.
So I once knew a dude who was like a limo driver that's what he did for a living. He drove limo, and I remember him telling me one time, and I don't know why I just remembered this, but either way, he once had Spielberg in his limo, and he was driving him to something in Seattle it was before GameWorks opened, and he asked him about a bunch of things. He goes, what in like science fiction would you like to see in the real world? It's like, he goes, holodeck.
Yeah.
Absolutely would love to have a holodeck. I want to build one, but they won't let me.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the most awesome thing ever, right? Because you could get away with just about anything in the holodeck.
It's basically video games, man. I mean, it's VR.
Yeah, there's no hard feeling.
Yeah.
We're on our way to that, I think, at this point. I have a Quest, which is the Meta VR headset, or Facebook, whatever you want to call it, but it's got some cool games, man. One of the coolest things I've come across in there is you can watch 3D or 360 videos on YouTube through your VR headset, and it feels like you're there. Like,
that's cool.
People have actually done walkthroughs at Disneyland or had gone on rides with their 360 camera, and when you watch it with your VR headset, you feel like you're actually on the ride.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Pretty cool stuff, man.
Instead of Google Earth, it's Google Fun.
Right? So, let's talk about the theories that have been proven true.
Oh, man. Well, there's plenty, because we know that the U.S. government is shitty and U.S. corporations are shitty. So, there's some easily proven ones, like for decades, tobacco companies had quietly said that their product does not do any damage, and they knew back in the early 50s, that it had.
They said it under oath in Congress, under oath.
Yeah.
I don't think that's quietly saying it. They're saying it out loud. Like, this is not bad for you, and you should totally smoke this. Back in the 50s, they had Fred Flintstone smoking in a commercial, dude.
That was the most insidious part.
Yeah.
They had the cartoon characters out there endorsing the.
To be fair, the Flintstones was not a cartoon for kids. back in the 50s. That was a prime time show. That was like The Simpsons before The Simpsons.
Yeah, but they had like Joe Camel, right?
Yeah. Well, they created these mascots specifically to target children.
Yeah.
Make it more appealing.
Or young people in general. Yeah, because then you got a customer for life, right?
Marlboro Man.
Let me ask you this, because I don't know enough about smoking. I was never a smoker, but grew up with smokers.
The Salem Moors.
The Salem Moors. No, it was the Menthol Moors.
Philip Morris.
Is there a reason to have nicotine in a cigarette? That's the addicting chemical, right?
Well,
but it's part and parcel with the plant itself.
That's part of tobacco.
Of yeah. Okay, I didn't realize. I thought that might be.
Tobacco's not the only plant that contains nicotine.
Yeah, the nicotine isn't the bad part.
Yeah.
Isn't that
it's the chemicals that they put in the cigarettes to make them burn longer?
And they had stuff in filters and the paper.
But even then, tobacco just causes cancer.
It's the smoke in your lungs. It's bad. Yeah. Because the only thing that's supposed to go in your lungs is air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Chewing tobacco gives cancer too, right? So
occasionally helium when you want to talk funny.
Yeah, they've proven that in chewing tobacco, there's fibers of fiberglass that allows it to cut your gums so you can get the nicotine faster.
Wow!
Back in the 70s, I remember seeing an advertisement for cigarettes back in the 70s. I don't remember with the brand or anything or any other context behind it, but it legitimately had. This is a safer cigarette because we've added asbestos filters.
Wow! Get that right. Get that deep into your lungs, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Attention.
Oh, my God.
If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry about the static, folks.
Yeah,
that's probably because of the phone call.
No, that's the government, man. You're not wearing your hat.
No, it's
trying to take us out.
Legitimately the phone.
Yeah. Well, from tobacco companies to alcohol companies used to put bad stuff in alcohol back in the 20s before Prohibition.
Yeah.
And then when they passed the Prohibition Act, which made alcohol consumption illegal, or at least selling alcohol illegal, the government asked the manufacturers to put more of that chemical in, so more people would die. So it'd be like, see what's happening to Billy Bob. Yeah.
I know that my dad's father, he was an alcoholic way back in the day, and in the early days, like in the I want to say 20s, 30s, and 40s, if you were super poor, you could get wood alcohol and drink that because that shit was cheaper than buying regular alcohol. But at some point in those decades, they changed the formula for wood alcohol to make it poisonous, and that's what ended up killing him because he drank wood alcohol and it killed him. It pickled his insides.
Yeah, it's the methanol.
Yeah.
And it
that's terrible.
Made Al Capone a very rich man for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I we went to the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. If you're ever in town, definitely go visit. It's worth the visit. But they have a whole speakeasy in the basement, and it's in this old courthouse, and it's really cool. But and you can do like moonshine tasting. They got like their own. They distill their own.
Like bathtub gin.
Essentially, yeah. They recreate stuff from the Prohibition era. Huh. And they went into detail about the wood alcohol, like all the the torpedo juice, all these different options that you had, and then also the government basically poisoning people to try to make them comply with.
Yeah, I think that's why they changed the formula, is because of Prohibition. I think is why they changed it.
Yeah. And then from that to the Tuskegee experiments with syphilis on African American men. Yeah. Man,
that's an asshole move, dude.
40 years of that, right? Was it like 40 years?
And because of that shit, people are still legit. Don't trust doctors.
Yeah.
Like my cousin's husband, like, I don't trust doctors. I just don't.
Romeo.
So,
yeah.
I remember that coming back up around when they started coming out with all the different COVID vaccines. There was a large discussion because of all the vaccine skepticism. A lot of people are saying that the only people that it would be appropriate for to have that conversation would be the black communities, because of that distrust over the Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah. But for every disenfranchised and dissatisfied black person, there's some Native American dude going, Anybody want a blanket?
We could definitely talk hours about like all the COVID deniers and all the anti-vaxxers. And just in all the.
But that being so, that doesn't deny the evil shit that's been done in the name of helping.
Right. It's not.
Sometimes accidental and sometimes purposeful, right? But
yeah. Well, some of the insane stuff that I've heard about COVID and in the shot is like the whole like installing microchips is one. When you get
you magnetic. Remember the magnetic card?
I was getting to that. Yeah. There's a video. There's a video that people were like resharing, but they didn't show the whole video. They only showed the first like 5 seconds of the video where the guy puts a penny or puts something on his arm and it sticks. But the whole video is like, no, that's not real. And he rubs it off because he's like, my arm's all sweaty. Yeah. And that's why it stuck, because his arm was sweaty.
Wasn't there a lady like at a city town hall meeting and she was trying to stick a spoon to her face or something and it kept falling? She's like, no, wait a minute, I can make this happen. It's making me magnetic.
Or the other one, and I had to do like the stern like, no, that's not how that fucking works. Is people who are like 5G is gonna get you infected with COVID. It's like, no, that's not how technology works, man. You can't get a biological virus from a piece of electronics. It just doesn't work that way.
You can't send that over radio.
That's what they want you to think, Todd.
But the thing is like in 5G is like, what 5G stands for? 5th generation mobile internet. Right. That's it.
Yeah.
It's faster than 4G.
Well, we all know it's Bill Gates trying to infect us with microchips in our bodies, right?
Well, I gave Bill Gates syphilis, so back in our bathhouse days.
It's a little trade-off, right?
He gave it to his wife, and then she gave it to him.
No, I think he was a direct
contact.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, again, American government. I feel like if there was something, even if 9/11 wasn't, it was just the 19 terrorists that took down the towers. I feel like the conspiracy then might be the cover up, right? To make it, like Bailey was talking earlier about decreasing the risk of panic, right? Of not making it such a big deal, so there wouldn't be so much panic, right? Like, so when JFK was murdered, we'll probably never know maybe that Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole gunman, or if there was Grassy Knoll guys, or the CIA was involved, or Cuban nationals, or the mob, or whatever it was. Could have been a combination of all of them. LBJ might have been involved. We'll never know, but I think that they just quickly did the Warren Commission said, oh, he was the sole gunner. It was just him. Yeah, that was the whole plot. Even if there was more stuff involved, they wouldn't tell us because they wouldn't want to create a panic, right? This is, it was a crazy guy with a rifle.
My favorite JFK theory is actually from a British sci-fi show called Red Dwarf, where there was time travel involved, and that JFK himself was the third gunman, or the second gunman.
He shot himself?
He shot himself. He said, this is going to drive the conspiracy people nuts for generations, man, because
that'll show him.
As soon as he shot the bullet, he disappeared because he killed himself.
Oh man, oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I think the JFK assassination is probably my favorite conspiracy.
It's right up there. I mean, it's
rabbit hole.
There's so many directions you can go in.
Oh yeah, tons.
Yeah.
Tons. I mean, Ted Cruz's dad probably did it, right? That's a rumor. That's a rumor.
Alex Jones and Ted Cruz's fathers.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, it's a rumor. Don't quote me on.
We're not like breaking news on this, man. We're talking conspiracy theories, folks. This is a lot of this stuff is absolute horseshit.
Yeah, but that Oliver Stone movie got me, man. If you haven't seen that, I know that came out in like
90 something.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I remember seeing it. I rember going, oh, okay.
Before I was born.
Yeah, but even if like 10% of that shit was real or truthful, it's like, there's definitely something more going on, right? And the thing that gets me is Jack Ruby killing Lee Harvey Oswald like the next day because he wanted to spare Jacqueline the, horrors of seeing this guy go through trials and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Jack Ruby.
But how did he have the inside scoop on when the cell transfer was going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
And
he was a mob-connected guy, right?
9/11. It's like on 9/11, how did they know that was the day we were doing similar naval and Air Force joint exercises?
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
I hadn't heard
so
that.
either there was somebody feeding them information or it was just, if it was just the 19 guys, right? It's like, so they knew all this stuff was going on so that intercept would not be called in, blah, 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 blah. It's like, so either somebody high up in Naval and or Air Force Command let them in on the secret, right? We had loose lips that sunk that fucking ship, or it didn't happen like they said it happened.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm sitting here thinking about other conspiracy type stuff. I mean, the most recent thing is like during the pandemic, the government had declassified video of the Tic Tac UFO or UAP, whatever you want to call it. That's another thing. When did they change it to UAP?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't either. Unidentified
aerial phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean they do that though, right? I mean, as George Carlin said, they always change the like in World War I, it was shell shocked, and now it's post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah,
to try to soften it.
Back in the day, you'd call a UFO a Foo Fighter, and UFO, and then now it's a UAP.
Well, I honestly believe the reason why they changed the name is so it made it harder for those Freedom of Information Acts. You can't, type in the word UFO and it won't come up with anything.
It wasn't a UFO, it was a
UAP.
UAP.
Yeah, but
they're not afraid just to redact shit either. You know what I mean? So it's like,
you'll get two words and it's of and it.
Well, I guess it might not be a flying object anyway, though. It could be just a weather phenomenon. It could be
a floating phenomenon.
The most recent ones are those balloons over Montana, right?
I'm sorry.
Oh, the Chinese spy balloons?
Yeah, there was more than just the one, though.
Oh, there's been several.
Some of the objects that they shot down were just like student projects.
Oh, really?
Like local middle schools.
No,
yeah.
Really?
One of the things that they shot down with a Sidewinder missile was like a $12 student balloon.
No, how big was the balloon?
It was pretty big. Like they made it out of like Mylar or something.
See, if I was a kid, I would love that.
Oh,
that would be the most incredible thing. It's like they shot my balloon down with the friggin' Sidewinder.
I would have been that kid. I'm like, they shot it down, those assholes.
I mean, if I got to watch it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess that would be kind of cool to watch it happen, but at the same time, I'm like, I worked hard on that. I better get an A for that shit.
Right.
Seeing like $1 million of my parents' tax funds going to shoot down my $12 balloon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they'll just replace it with our tax dollars.
That should be an automatic A if the government shoots it down with a $1 million missile, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, recently, I mean, that's been like the anti-vax stuff has been big. It's still sort of is the QAnon stuff.
And QAnon is
a whole nother.
QAnon is almost become like an umbrella, like
for everything
that's been going on in the last 2 or 3 years. Like everybody assumes they're all connected. Like the anti-vaxxers and the people who are save the children, and and pointing the finger at the wrong people about the child trafficking, the child trafficking.
Do we know how big the population of QAnon followers is? I mean,
I don't think we would ever be able to fully know.
I mean, of the people that go to those conventions, there's easily like 500 people. At least when they did the first QAnon convention, there was about 500 people that showed up.
So it's like 1% of the population or less.
Well, I mean, it's there's lots of overlap with the Trumpers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the fascinating things that's connected with QAnon is the Reichsbürger movement over in Germany. Have you heard about that?
No.
So it's like a crazy amalgamation of different like far right, monarchist, nationalist, like a bunch of different groups that have kind of come together, and basically their whole like the fundamental belief is that the Third Reich was an illegitimate government that had overthrown the Weimar Republic, and that basically the current German constitution was not valid because of that, and that that the constitution is still like stuck in like 1920. Whatever.
So it still should be the Weimar Republic.
Exactly. And basically what they're doing is they're recruiting like members of the military, and like they're forming like these secret groups. And
this sounds like those sovereign people assholes.
That's part of their, like if you formed a Venn diagram, you would put like the sovereign citizen types within it.
Oh my God. Two of my brothers are a part of that whole sovereign people. I can travel wherever I want. I don't need a driver's license bullshit. Huh. And yeah, just.
I love the idea, but we can't trust our fellow man.
Right.
That's where that kind of drops off the face, right?
It doesn't matter if you're sovereign or not. If you're driving in the United States, you have to abide by the United States laws and regulations.
Yeah, unless you're a Family Guy and you're Peter and you start Pretoria and your little piece of property
and the
is your
thing
own
is
country.
Family Guy was doing it to make fun of those people.
Right.
Yeah, totally to make fun of those people. Because there's somebody in Texas or fucking Florida someplace that has they built a moat around their yard to keep people out of their, get off my lawn kind of shit, And
that I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, to a degree, I understand it, but I think it's crazy.
So in Germany, have they formed an actual political party out of this, or is it?
So a bunch of them just got arrested.
Yeah, so they've been doing a bunch of raids on them over the last few months. So they had a big one like a few months back, and then they just did another raid in Germany and Switzerland. I think within it was either today, like early today or yesterday, and yeah, they rounded up a bunch of people, and in the last raid that they did, they captured like a prince. I
was going to say,
members of the military. Like there are some influential people that have connections. I don't think that it's a super influential,
because it was a monarchy, and then they established him as the president. Is that in Wilhelm?
I'd have to look up the names.
I don't want you to have to go too crazy into it. But
he's not like it's a minor. He's like a minor like noble title. It's like from a county.
Okay.
So have you guys heard of? I'm probably going to butcher her name. Romana Di Dulo. She is the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada.
Oh.
Yeah. Now it says, I remember hearing about her on one of the podcasts I like listening to is the QAnon Anonymous podcast, which is great. These guys talk about like all kinds of conspiracy shit, but mostly QAnon. But they talked about this woman. They've played clips of her talking, and she's done showed up at like office, government buildings in Canada and like done speeches and shit. And she is. Wikipedia says she is Canada's false pretender who proclaimed herself to be Queen of Canada and later Queen of the World. She is the leader of a fictitious government called the Kingdom of Canada, led by Canada First Party, an unregistered political party in Canada of which she is the founder. She has granted herself the title of Her Royal Highness. She is one of the most prominent figures in the QAnon movement in Canada and promotes other conspiracy theories such as pseudological concepts derived from sovereign citizen movement. It's next level crazy.
So sovereign citizens and self-proclaimed monarchs go hand in hand. That seems wacky.
Yeah.
Dude. But on that note, gentlemen, I'm going to drop out of this delightful conversation because we're about to get on the freeway.
All right, man.
Guys. Well, safe travels.
Yes.
Thank you.
And we'll check in before next week.
See you, Mike.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, interesting stuff. There was a guy in San Francisco that sort of proclaimed the same thing that he had, and I can't remember what he was, but he was very wealthy and lost all of his money in some scheme, but he claimed himself like the king of San Francisco or something like that, and he had his own money printed with his face on it, and it was kind of a collector's souvenir to find him.
Oh,
but this was back in the 1800s.
His own trading cards.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, man, I don't know. Tons and tons of conspiracy theories. Is there any that anybody really buys into, like, out of the three of us left on the show right now? Is there?
I definitely think there's lots of misinformation about UFOs and alien stuff. You know, I think there's a lot we're not being told. I think there's a lot we're being told that is absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
Just to make us, look stupid for believing it.
Do you think that Area 51 is like a stronghold for like a vault of alien technology?
I think it was at one point.
Yeah.
I don't think it is anymore because of how public people are aware of it now. Especially after, was it 2 years ago when everybody decided they were gonna rush the front gate?
Yeah.
You guys ever see that?
I did. I didn't see the actual it taking place, but I heard that they were going to try to do it.
So initially, it was started as a Facebook event that was a joke. It wasn't even real. It's like, they can't stop all of us. It's like, you don't know how tanks work.
Yeah.
Or bombers, for that matter. Yeah. In fact, I think it was the U.S. Air Force posted a photo on Twitter and quickly got taken down. But it was basically the people involved with the B-2 were posing in front of their plane, saying, "Yeah, we might have something to say about you guys showing up at Area 51 unannounced." But that quickly got taken down because that it was perceived as a threat. But
I think that Area 51 is still probably used as a testing site. For like some more they're like more classified.
Wasn't that like where the stealth bomber was sort of?
That was where it was developed. Yeah, the SR-71 and the U-2, the F-117, or. Yeah,
but I couldn't imagine that they would be storing extraterrestrial. Like Todd said, like there's no way that they would keep that sort of thing in such a public place.
All that stuff is in Site 4, which is like 20 miles south of Area 51.
Well, I've heard that the Denver airport has like a whole city underneath the airport.
Yeah, I've heard those rumors too. Yeah,
tunnels.
The tunnels.
Well, there's tunnels under every airport. They're called trams.
Right. But there was like what was it, $18 billion that it went over in budget, and they were trying to figure out where the money went. Nobody was ever able to figure it out. So it must be like
somebody pocketed that money.
Was it Tenet? Was that the movie where they had like a secret vault underneath the airport, which was considered, since it was an international airport, it was like a duty-free zone, so you could store like stolen stuff there. So people would,
I haven't saw that movie, but I want to.
Yeah, they could put like their stolen Monets or Picassos and stuff down there, and they couldn't be touched by the government because it was an international, duty-free zone kind of a thing.
But that event that happened, I think, like I said, it was like 2019, I think, when it happened. All the people that showed up in Nevada, in the desert, showed up in Rachel, Nevada, and they're like, we don't have the infrastructure to host all these people. And then it started because of the government saying you're not crossing that border, you're not going through that gate. They started to say, you know what, people are still going to show up. Maybe we should make it an event that is not going to get people arrested and or disappeared in the desert. So they decided to make it a concert.
Oh. So
they put up a stage and they invited some bands, and
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's how they get you, man.
And I think if it had been successful, then Rachel would have grown beyond its little cafe called the Little Alien, the Alien,
Inn,
INN. you know.
Nice.
But that place is actually is in the movie Paul. If you've never seen Paul, I recommend it. It's a great film. It's Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Oh, they find the little alien dude,
and they go to California for International Comic-Con or San Diego Comic-Con, and because they're flying in from England and they're going to be spending some time in America, they wanted to do like a tour of all the UFO hotspots, and they left LA or San Diego to go to Nevada, so because they wanted to see the mailbox, they wanted to see like all the touristy spots for UFO people, and they went to the alien, or the movie version of it. I don't think it was the actual place, but that place does exist. What's really funny is if you go to Google Earth and go to Rachel, Nevada, and you zoom in, you'll see that place, but right next to it is a giant like Kentucky Fried Chicken logo on the ground. You can see
I've seen it. I looked it up on Google Earth.
You can see it from space. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, it's super funny. It was just giant.
It's massive. You can't miss it.
Are you saying that the colonel is really like an Air Force colonel?
Probably not. But why not?
Why not? It's a conspiracy. Who knows?
He's advertising to the extra.
And it's the weirdest thing because there's not a KFC in Rachel.
Yeah.
There's not. There's nothing there. It's just that one place and maybe a garage and a which also doubles as a gas station.
Nice.
It's a tiny like nothing town. There's nothing there.
All right. Well, what about you, Bailey? Is there a conspiracy that you just like glommed onto and you can't let go of, and it's got to be true, or at least aspects of it?
One of going back to the John F. Kennedy conspiracies, one of the conspiracies that came up was he was assassinated by the Secret Service. And not because they were disgruntled with him, but it was because he had signed an executive order called Executive Order 111110. It was like a bunch of ones and a zero at the end. But basically,
Order 66.
Essentially, but for our financial system. And essentially what he did was he took the U.S. currency off of the
gold,
the Bretton Woods, the agreement where world currency would be based on the U.S. dollar, etc., and basically just made it so that if you're a U.S. citizen, or if you have U.S. currency, you could trade it in for silver. So basically putting us back onto off of a fiat currency,
right?
And that he was shot over that, but
by the Secret Service or ordered by,
or just basically it was a giant conspiracy by the government.
Okay.
But I'm not saying that it's true, but it seems like a compelling argument.
Yeah, I mean, he was only president for like 3 years, right? Before he got killed, the first term, and a lot of shit happened on his watch, right? Bay of Pigs.
They were planning Operation Northwoods.
Yeah.
You know about that?
No.
What
Operation Northwoods?
No. What is it?
So basically, the CIA had come up with a plan. They declassified it a little while back, but Operation Northwoods was basically it happened. They're planning it for after the Cuban Revolution, and what they were going to do to justify an invasion of Cuba by U.S. forces was to stage a false flag terror attack on U.S. soil using some of the Cuban expats.
And blame it on Cuba?
And blame it on the Cubans.
I think that's the thing they mentioned in that Loose Change documentary, because they talked about a false flag from the 60s.
What they were going to do is take some of these Cuban expats and under CIA orders go out and kill American citizens, mass shootings, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we know that the U.S. government is not opposed to false flag stuff. I mean, look at the Gulf of Tonkin, right? That basically escalated the Vietnam War.
It never happened.
They sent the ship up there. Well, they say that it might have been there to back up the South Vietnamese Navy as it was attacking the North, but the North fought back. Did the ship even get damaged? What was the ship again? I have it written down. The Maddox. Did the Maddox even get damaged in the Gulf of Tonkin incident? But that's really what sort of kicked it in. Was that 1967?
I don't know.
It was either 66 or 67.
Yeah, but that was what escalated the whole Vietnam conflict. The Vietnam War got us more involved, and it was complete bullshit, right? So they're not opposed. U.S. government. That's why I say we're
the kind of justification.
Yeah.
How about the Philadelphia experiment? What do you guys think of that?
I don't know enough about it.
Tell me about it.
It's basically they actually made a movie about it. This is how I discovered it. I watched this movie. This movie was so cool, and I looked it up, and it's based on they were working on a cloaking system, and what ended up happening was like the ship phased out and like disappeared completely, and then when it came back, people were fused inside the fuselage of the boat, and people were like had fallen through the deck, and like when it came back, they were like cut in half. They're like
so it's like a shitty transporter accident where they got transported into.
Now the movie like makes it look like the ship transported into the future, but the actual story
was that the one that they ended up going back in time to, and they intercepted the Japanese fleet on their way
that's the Final Countdown. That was a Martin Sheen movie, which was great. I love that movie. I did too.
Yeah, they got transported back. It was they had modern day aircraft carrier gets transported
F-14
down.
Tomcats taking out Zeros. It was
they're
awesome.
like, well, what do we do? And they're like, well, we're a United States Navy ship. We got to defend. So they get ready to launch F-14s against the Zero, the Japanese Zeros, but right before they could, the portal opened
up and they had to go back.
They had to go back. That was their chance.
It's on Prime Video. I think you can watch it. It's
I'm
great.
gonna have to watch that again. It's been probably 20, 25 years.
I remember seeing it on USA Up All Night, thinking this is the greatest movie ever. They need to make another.
Yeah,
the Philadelphia Experiment, the movie. The first one came out in the 80s, I think, and then they had a sequel where the guy he stayed in the future started having problems again. Like they were every time they were running the machines back at the military base, he was starting to like phase in and out of reality. And so in the sequel, he's like starting to phase in and out again as an old man. And he's like, "Fucking, what's going on?" And they have to figure out and stop it.
Happening
Exactly, yeah. And then they did a remake. They filmed it up in Vancouver. The remake wasn't bad. It was from 2014, but not as good as the original, I think. Right. But yeah, if you've never heard of the Philadelphia Experiment, I would look it up because it's an interesting story. Because they were trying to develop and I think the story was they were using like Nikola Tesla's like technologies, his gadgets and whatnot, to try to develop some sort of cloaking device that made them invisible to the radar.
Any other government cover-ups that you guys can think of?
The Men in Black is always a good one.
Yeah, I mean, like the movie or
what the comics are based on, which were these two guys that would always show up whenever someone would like talk about like they saw something or they experienced something. Two people would always show up wearing suits. They're always kind of weird looking. They didn't really seem like they were normal. There was I've actually read a lot of stories where people would have visits and then either that person would stop talking or they would disappear.
Yeah.
They would just
Yeah.
Maybe they got put into a certain CIA program.
Right. Yeah.
That's what inspired the comics, which then inspired the movies.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, we know that the government did like experiments with LSD in the 60s, which left a lot of people mentally disabled because of it.
Yeah.
Screwed up their brains,
fried
their brains with it.
And there's also the men who stare at goats, the remote viewing guys.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that movie.
And that was actually an actual thing. The remote viewing is a real thing that the government did. They were like, being able to track people down and find out where they're hiding and, spy on them through psychological shit.
Do you guys remember Abu Ghraib?
Mm-hmm. And this name sounds familiar.
The Iraqi prison jail. where they kept a lot of Iraqi citizens, and a lot of the enlisted people got in trouble because they were posing them in the nude and making them do forced torture, stuff like that. I mean, does anybody really believe that just the enlisted guys were involved in that stuff?
I didn't order the code red.
You can't handle the truth. I got to think that it probably came from higher up, and that a bunch of enlisted people took the fall for it. But
that's
blame it on the intern.
Yeah,
shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
It's up to the commander at the end of the day to make sure that everything is being, like, laws are being followed.
One of the biggest issues I think I have with conspiracy theories in this day and age, like in the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s and stuff, before we had the 24-hour news cycle, before everybody had cameras on their phones, in their pockets and stuff like that, nowadays I think it's just too hard to get away with some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because, and you've got people that you're expected, like if you take a Philadelphia experiment or
Bigfoot,
not necessarily Bigfoot, but just something that requires a lot of people to be involved. Like you talk about,
I get what you're saying. Oh, like the conspiracy that Australia is not a real place.
Not so much that, but
flat Earth.
I'm talking about like Hillary Clinton killing people, right? There would have to
be
the
body count.
There would have to be any number of people that were involved or had knowledge of it. 20, 30, 40, 100 people. Who knows how many people would be in that inner circle? And how do you keep that many people quiet for so long?
Fear.
But what's the fear? I'm like,
self-inflicted gunshot to the back of the head.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things. Like, that's one of the things that I try to point out to people who are flat earthers. Like, look, dude, there's no fucking way all these countries would be able to, like, oh yes, this is how we should do it. Every leader of every country be like, no, we should have it this way.
Yeah.
You know, and there's no way they've all colluded. Every single country in the world has colluded into proving that telling that the world is round and that it really is flat. We're hiding it from you.
Yeah.
Why? What would be the point of, I never understood that.
Yeah. What do you get out of it?
Control, man, control.
Well, they said that with the masks, right? They were all going to control us because we're all sheep. We're putting these masks on. They just want to see how well they can control. Well, they told us when we could take the mask, and and it wasn't like you had to do it, but if you wanted to go into private businesses that required a mask or government offices that required it, was the only time you needed to do it.
Yeah, well, it's funny, just the people that like. It's taking away my several civil liberties. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
You've always had to wear face masks when going into certain parts of hospitals.
Right.
Because of people who are immune compromised. You can't go in there, if you're sick, you can't go in there, and breathe all over people without having a mask on.
Well, same thing as having it required to put on a seatbelt or carry insurance when you drive a car. Right.
In early 2000s, I worked with a guy who, like, his civil disobedience was never to wear a seatbelt because he thought that the law of you must wear a seatbelt was unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I mean, what happens if you get into a car wreck? What's going to stop you from flying out the front window or out the side?
Or the motorcycle guys that won't wear a helmet.
Yeah. Because I don't want to look like a pussy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I truly believe that there are true conspiracies out there that people try to perpetuate, be it corporate America, be it factions of the government, stuff like that. But
I once convinced somebody that the government was collecting DNA from postage stamps.
Not no more, maybe fingerprints, but they. 23andMe is perfect. Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is back when you had to lick the back of a stamp in order to stick it on an envelope.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, you got to think about the technology that you would have, the people that would have to be involved to collect that much DNA, right? the sheer volume of letters back then that were going everywhere. You'd have to have just this mega infrastructure that would be able to handle it.
I didn't have this huge idea behind it. I just said, they're collecting your DNA through the stamps. I didn't have any idea of how they were collecting the stamps, how they were getting it from you so they could get your DNA from the stamp.
Right.
But they were like, yeah, man, I can totally see that.
Yeah. Well, as like Bailey just mentioned, I could see people talking about 23andMe as, that's just a scam to get you to
they already
give up your DNA.
Yeah.
They already do it.
I don't care though. I knew what most of my lineage was, but I just wanted to see what else was there. Mm-hmm. So I got like 98% Irish. It's like, that's my grandmother is from Ireland. So yes, I know.
And for those that are out there that are worried about it, if you throw a soda can, a water bottle, a plastic fork that you use to eat with, and you put that in your garbage can outside, that's free game. Government can come by, grab your fork, grab your soda can.
And those of you that are worried about like tracking, the government tracking you, if you have one of these, if you have a smartphone, you're being tracked.
So, go live in the woods in a hut.
Go live off the grid.
Burn your garbage.
Yeah.
Don't talk to anybody.
I know plenty of people that actually feel that way. They're like, I don't want no. One of my brothers is like, I'm not getting a new phone because those new phones are 5G, and I don't want that 5G shit. I was like, faster internet? God, why would you want that?
Yeah. What is the thing with 5G? That they can carry diseases and stuff, and they can put stuff in your body?
Tracking, and it's one of the things there was hackers are going to have access of your phone. I was like, they already do, dude.
Fear of the new.
Yeah.
And it's because it's people who know nothing about how the technology works. I had someone send me a video about 5G and Wi-Fi. I was like, those are two separate technologies. Number one,
it's pretty amazing.
All it takes. Google's free, folks. Absolutely free, and you know what? Google's not giving you. It is not showing you the thing. It is not showing you things.
Conspiracy.
God, people just irritate me when it comes to this. They think Google is like this huge conglomerate that is like force feeding you shit. They're not. They have an algorithm that shows you what you want to see.
Yeah.
If you were to look for something other than what you want to see, you might see something different.
I can guarantee that as you're typing stuff into a search engine, there's not a guy watching what you're typing.
But there might be.
There might be. Yeah, better not use it anymore. Better cancel your Comcast. Better, get rid of your cell phone.
So, in the early 2000s, I worked for a company called Earthlink, which was an internet provider. Mm-hmm. This is back when high-speed internet was brand new. Like, absolutely, like, DSL was the only kind of high-speed internet there was when it started. And I had this guy call in, and he was having trouble getting on the internet. He was trying to do this thing where he's hacking into Yahoo, and how he was hacking into Yahoo. Sorry, I don't know.
It's the government, man. They're trying to buzz in on our conversation.
All the devices are buzzing. So he is trying to log into. He had 2 software firewalls installed in his computer. He's on dial-up, and his idea of hacking was logging into his Yahoo account through the UK website. So you go into yahoo.co.uk instead of yahoo.com, and he thought that was hacking. I was like, that's not how hacking works, sir.
It's hacking?
Yeah, that's not hacking. That's what he thought, though. But the reason why he was having trouble getting connected is because he had 2 software firewalls, and they were fighting against each other. And one would say, it's okay to do that, and the other one was like, no, it's not. And he couldn't load up web pages. He couldn't connect to Messenger. He couldn't do anything. And I was like, well, let's turn off at least one of those for right now and see if maybe we can get one of them to work.
Nice.
But he was an expert hacker, right?
He claimed to be. Yeah. He saw the movie Hackers one time.
I just need another minute. I'm typing really fast. I'm gonna make.
What was that movie from the 80s where the kid was like using, like, he had the
War Games.
Oh, War
Games where he was like he hacked into the Pentagon or something.
Yeah.
Shall we play a game?
Yeah. He was supposed to play chess, but he played
thermonuclear warfare. Yeah. And against a computer called the Whopper, WOPPR.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when I saw that movie, one of my teachers says that computer that they showed in the movie was not a government computer. That was a telecommunications computer. But
yeah,
they filmed part of that in Washington State.
Yeah, it was fun.
On Vashon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that was Matthew Broderick and was it Ali Sheedy? Yeah, one of her early roles.
Great movie. Yeah. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it because it's like
rewatch it.
It's. I mean, and the modem he uses is like a 300 baud modem. It's like one of those ones that like it. You have to wait 5 minutes for it to fill the screen as it's printing out. It's the screen loading is slower than a printer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Was that John Lithgow?
No.
Okay.
No, it was the not the sergeant, but the general guy is the same old NASA dude from Northern Exposure.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You know, the guy with the gnarly, like, I had been chewing tobacco since I was 9 kind of teeth. Yeah. He's a nice guy, though. I met him once.
Nice.
But yeah. But then, the movie that cracked me up as far as hackers and like conspiracies of that kind of stuff go is the movie Hackers from, like, I think it was like 95.
The Angelina Jolie
and Matthew Lillard and
Johnny
Lee Miller.
Yeah.
Hack the planet. Yeah, great movie. A lot of the technology that was like 2 years behind of what was actually being used at the time.
Right.
I remember going to see it with some friends, and we're like, "Yeah, wait a minute, did he say 28.8 or 14.4?" We had at that point with 56K modems were like becoming the new thing, and they were talking about the fastest. They had the latest and fastest of modems. It was 14.4, and I was like, God, that's slow.
Yeah, I remember seeing like Mission Impossible and the Ving Rhames character saying, "I want like 386s or something like that."
Oh yeah,
it's like that's we need something ultra fast, and it was like, God, if they only
my
knew.
Cell phone is faster than the 386.
Yeah. But, well, boys, we've only like touched the surface. We've only dipped our toe.
We haven't even talked about all the things that are on the list here. So,
yeah. But we're coming up on our 90 minutes. But I think we should do this next week.
Yeah, we'll come back and do more. And I'm gonna suggest you guys check out the QAnon Anonymous podcast because it's if nothing else, it'll be entertaining for you. Those guys, they also do like reenactments. They're really funny.
Nice.
But yeah,
I'll have to take a look.
Yeah.
I was definitely one of those people when I was younger. Me and my friend Tyler, because he had bought a shortwave radio at a yard sale, and we'd set out and like light a bonfire and then listen to Coast like at midnight.
Nice. Oh man, I used to love listening to Art Bell.
Nice.
I actually was listening when the night he got the call from the guy who was being abducted, and like the call cut off, and everyone's like freaking out, calling in, and I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" And then like 10 years later, the guy is like on YouTube. Yeah, that was me. I was fucking around with those guys.
Yeah.
Funny.
Good stuff. Well, hey, Bailey, thanks for filling in on Mike's chair this week. You're welcome back next week if you have the time, because Mike is going to be on the road still. Mike is leaving us. We are Our Town Podcast
Extraordinaire,
Renton, Washington, and we appreciate everybody sticking around. We're going to go into our bonus round and do our top 5 alien encounter movies, since we're on the topic of...
Do you want to give them a tease?
No, let's not give them nothing. But to get there, you can go to our website, ourtownpodcast.com or ourtownpod.com.
Well, if you want to get to the bonus material, you want to go to our-podcast.com. Yes. But if you go to ourtownpod.com. It takes you right to Spotify.
Yeah, it'll get you there. We're not that hard to find, really not.
Go to the homepage and
sign up,
subscribe,
become a member, subscribe. It's not very expensive. Costs you a cup of coffee a month, and got some great stuff. We got some new blogs that were just posted. We've got our bonus content. And
I got some short form videos for you guys to laugh at.
Yeah.
The top 5 we're doing, should we at least tell them what it is, the top 5?
I just did. Yeah, we're doing our top 5 alien encounter movies.
Okay. I missed that somehow.
No worries. But thanks for watching, and if you're sticking around for the bonus, we'll see you in a few minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you think this episode is worth $1 or $5, the boys would love to have it. Please go to ourtownpod.store for merch or to donate now. For less than a cup of coffee, you can also join the website in the member-only area for exclusive bonus content, blogs, and more. It's just $3 a month or $30 a year. Thank you for listening to this production of Our Town Podcast Extraordinaire.